We begin with some breaking news, and Global Affairs Canada confirms they are aware of Canadians being executed earlier this year in China. This is just coming in. In a statement, Global Affairs says Canada strongly condemns China's use of the death penalty, which is irreversible and inconsistent with basic human dignity. Canada repeatedly called for clemency for these individuals at the senior-most levels and remains steadfast in its opposition to the use of the death penalty in all cases everywhere. They go on to say they are providing consular assistance to the victims' families. No names have been released. They also say Canada continues to advocate for clemency for Robert Schellenberg and are providing him and his family with consular assistance. Well, let's bring in for more Vina Nadjibulla, Vice President of Research and Strategy at the Asia Pacific Foundation. Thanks so much for your time. So just firstly, can I get your reaction to this news of these executions?
Thank you for the invitation. Well, this is a deeply alarming development, and it's a stark reminder of the nature of the Chinese Communist Party and its regime. And again, we don't have a lot of the details, but execution of Westerners in China is rare. The last such known case, publicly known case, was more than 10 years ago. While China executes more people than any other country in the world, it is rare for them to do this with foreigners. So this is a deeply troubling development.
Okay, if it's rare, do we know any information about what sparked this, what caused them to execute these prisoners?
We don't have a lot of information. As you mentioned, this is a developing story. The information just came out this morning in the Globe and Mail. From the reaction from the Chinese statement that was issued earlier this morning as well, it seems like it's drug-related charges, which is the case in China. They do execute 4 drug-related charges, as well as more than 44 other non-violent crimes are punishable by death sentence in China. So, and again, there are more than 100 Canadians that we are aware of that are in Chinese prisons right now. The details of these particular cases are not known, but again, it's something that is a reminder of the kind of regime that we're dealing with in China.
What does it mean more broadly for Canada and China's relationship?
Well, the timing of this is interesting because a couple of months ago, a number of folks were speculating that perhaps China is interested in stabilizing relations and kind of even suggested that China might be on a charm offensive with Canada and other European countries. Well, this development shows that that may not be the case because clearly Canadian government officials tried to intervene, tried to ask for clemency at the highest levels, according to the Global Affairs statement. So the fact that China was not willing to make any concessions on this, that it chose to go ahead with the executions and the timing of this suggests that perhaps the desire to normalize or stabilize relations is not actually sincere on their side.
You know, you mentioned that there are still more than 100 Canadians that are being held in China. What could this mean for them, if anything?
Again, we don't know. We don't know the details. Consular cases are best addressed by Global Affairs Canada, but it's a reminder. We already have strict travel advisories when it comes to China. It's a reminder that the judicial system in China is very different from ours. The values there are very different from ours. They have more than 99.5% conviction rate. They do continue to execute people. Of course, Canada condemns that, and we see that as a violation of human dignity and human rights. So, again, a reminder of the nature of the regime and the fact that while China is an important actor on the global stage, we have to be extremely cautious and clear-eyed with the nature of the regime on the ground.
You mentioned that Canada continues to advocate, and we know that Canada continues to advocate for these prisoners. Do you see much headway being made in those negotiations, or is it really sort of at a bit of a stalemate?
It's difficult, and consular issues have always been difficult when it comes with China, not just for Canada, but for other Western countries as well. So I'm sure our officials will continue to advocate, but it is very hard to make progress on this. The sense that I get from all of this is that we don't really know the timing of when this happened. But of course, we have to bear in mind that right now we're also in a dispute with China over trade-related matters. So all of this comes together and makes for really difficult diplomacy with China, which is a critical actor in the Indo-Pacific and globally.
Vina Nadjibulla, Vice President of Research and Strategy at the Asia Pacific Foundation. We have to leave it there, but we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.